TAF Africa Global presents the first eco-smart city in the Gambia, the TAF City, located between Gunjur and Sifo. It is 30 minutes away from the Banjul International Airport. At TAF City, you will be able to live, work, play, and shop in a healthy multi-purpose community. This vibrant urban environment will meet your everyday needs with commercial, business, recreational, and other complementary services to increase the value of your home. With up to 5,000 units of affordable homes on a 500-hectare land, TAF City will be twice the size of Banjul. Prime location, stunning properties, and amazing discount of 20% for the first 50 buyers. Make an appointment today to secure your property. For more information, please call +220-776233 or +220-376-2333, or you can send an email to info@tafafricaglobal.com. Better still, visit our office at Madiba Mall, Bruford Gardens Estate. TAF City, a green and smart city, accessible to all.
Welcome to the TAF Hub. This is your favorite program that brings you all the necessary topics and discussions regarding real estate, TAF Africa Global, and anything that is regarding real estate here in the Gambia to educate and create awareness on some issues that are really important. My name is Mariama Kuli. I'm the co-host of this very important show. I'm not here alone. I'm here with Mr. Mustafa Njie. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much, Mariama, and thank you again. I think this is the first yes, recorded show we have for the year 2022. So I would like to wish you all again a happy 2022 and beyond. And thank you, Mariama, for being a co-host as you are.
Thank you.
Today we have another special guest. All our guests are very special, but they're experts in their own areas. And the person we have today in this specific topic will no doubt shed a lot of light on this issue, and a very important one. Today we have nobody other than Mr. Momodou Sarr, known as Sarr. I will just allow him to tell you who he is and give a brief bio of himself, and then we'll take it up from there. Mr. Sarr.
Welcome, Mr. Sarr.
Thank you very much. Thank you, TAF. Thank you, Mariama. It's a pleasure to be here. As Mr. Njie said, I'm Momodou Sarr, and the B is very important, Badu Sarr, but they call me Sarr. The reason why the B is important is that my father was a surveyor, land surveyor, and also he helped many people in Banjul get properties in the Combos. He's a Banjulian, and then he moved to Bakau to work for government there as a surveyor, and he encouraged people to move to the Combos because Banjul was getting congested. So the name Badu, each time I see old Banjulians, those who are older than 60 and so forth, they tell me your dad did a lot for me, and I'm very grateful to him, and I'm praying for you. So I want to maintain that Badu important in my CV, because my father did a lot of things for people. Yes. He was a Banjulian and moved to Bakau, and so people are grateful for that. Besides that, as you know, I studied in Sweden. I did environmental management with a master's degree, and I also did geology with a master's degree. I worked in Sweden for a while, but I came back to the Gambia and worked for geology department. I was senior geologist and second in command. It was a unit, so I was second in command there. After about 1 year, I moved to NEA and became a director. NEA had 3 divisions, and I became a director of one of the divisions. And I worked under Mr. Njie's sister, Njie, who was very dynamic leader of the NEA. And I was there, and I rose up to the level of executive director. And then I was there for 10 years, and then left and worked for the World Bank in Liberia for 4 years. And after the change of government, I came back. I got homesick and came back. So now I'm working at the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy as advisor to the Minister, Fafasanyan. And I've been there since 2018, and I'm still there. So in brief, that's what I did. And I don't want to talk about Sweden. I work there too, but I want to focus on the Gambia just because I'm living here now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Amazing profile.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sarr. So let's get down now to the topic. And today's topic is about the environment, because the environment is very important to everybody. We hear about climate change, and you will hear a lot of issues about the environment that is affecting our lives. And also, obviously, in our own sector, which is real estate development. But let me start, Mr. Sarr. As we follow the news on how the world is being affected by climate change in all sectors, including estate development, can you please explain what climate change is to a layman?
Okay, thank you very much. Because climate change is now a hot topic all over the world. I was in Glasgow in October, and we have 120 presidents there. So that's how important it is. Even American president, who never attends climate change meetings, was there, Mr. Biden. And all these top leaders in the world were there, except Russia and China. But all of them were there, and you saw how important it was. We were there for 1 month, and so it's important. But what it means actually is that it's the shift of changes in temperature and weather patterns. Many people have said global warming, but it's beyond that, because climate change also can cause more rainfall in some places and floods. It can cause more hurricanes and so forth. It can also cause drought. So global warming is not only the impact of climate change, but people have, they believe that it's only global warming. It's more than that. There are places where you have heavy rainfall because of climate change, and they damage a lot of structures and so forth. So this is what it is. But it's a very big concern to human beings, and we are worried about it. Climate change existed before, but it was because of the sun radiation. You know, the sun is like a nuclear reactor. Sometimes we had a lot of radiation, sometimes less. So, but that's different from the one we have now. Now it's because of fossil fuels that people use. Fossil fuels are coal, petrol, and natural gas. And those are the reasons why we have this climate change now. So it's a big concern. Unless we reduce those fossil fuels, the impacts are going to be more severe every year.
But then how do fossil fuels cause climate change?
Yeah, the reason why they cause climate change is that these gases, which are called greenhouse gases, trap heat. Because normally when at night, the heat that is during the daytime escape into space. But when you have greenhouse gases surrounding the world, they cover like a blanket. So the heat from the daytime cannot escape. So it keeps accumulating gradually and gradually. So the average global temperature also increases. And right now it's about 1.9 degrees average. If you look at the polar regions, which are minus 50, Africa 30, the average is about 1.9. Beyond 2, they think that the impacts will be very significant. So this is why we want to maintain it at 2 or even 1.5 average all over the world. And this is the fear, because these gases are like a blanket. If you just visualize, you have 2 blankets at night, you're going to sweat. So that's why they are concerned, because they are not escaping into space. They trap the heat, and the heat just keeps accumulating, and so they have a lot of impacts that we all feeling now. That's what it is.
Yeah, okay, but again, the issue of climate change and what are the major global initiatives being undertaken to combat climate change? Because we know that now there's a problem. But what are the initiatives that are being taken, to combat climate change?
Yeah, the first initiative was the UN Conference on Climate Change that was held in Brazil, and the convention that was signed was approved in 1994. So that convention raised the alarm that the world climate is increasing and it's going to affect human beings, so we have to deal with it. And they met and agreed that they have to do some actions to deal with it. And that was done. But it was mainly advice. Then in 1997, the Kyoto Protocol you had was approved. So it asked developed countries to limit their emissions, so that they, because they are the main polluters in the world, they were required to reduce their emissions, and also to trade among themselves, their emissions. For example, Mr. Njie, you have a company, and you are emitting 1,000 tons of carbon dioxide every year, and Mariama's company is emitting 500, and the law says you cannot go beyond 500. So you can sell the extra to her and she will, pay her. So they had that mechanism during the Kyoto Protocol in 1997. Then that wasn't enough. So they had the Paris Agreement. Before that, they had other steps, but the main ones are the Paris Agreement in 2015. And the Paris Agreement said that every country in the world should prepare what is called MDC. NDC is national determined contributions, where you explain how each country is going to reduce their emissions. So you have to give a detailed explanation in all the sectors, in energy, in forestry, in agriculture, how you're going to reduce emissions. And that's the Paris Agreement. And that is what we go by now. So now there are other initiatives that are ongoing because we who are in poor countries are more affected by climate change than the rich countries. And if you look at it, they are the cause of it because we are contributing 0.00% emissions in the world, Gambia for example, and we are affected by this. So what we said is that they should contribute towards how we mitigate and reduce the impacts they are causing. And so this is what is now being discussed in what is called loss and damage discussion. Loss and damage is when you have a hurricane, for example, and you have your hotel destroyed and infrastructure. Somebody should help you to repair that because if you want to borrow money to fix that, it's going to cost you too much. And it's not your fault because the problems are caused by developed countries who emit a lot of CO2. So now they're discussing how they can have mechanism to help people repair damages from climate change. But the Western countries are, hesitant because they feel that it's going to be like a penalty on them to pay that. So they don't want it to be too binding. We're discussing it, but it's not too binding yet to be able to say, if you have damage caused by hurricanes or strong winds or flood, how do you get money to repair? Do you have money from the Western countries to help you or not? And they don't want to go that far. But what they agreed to do is every year they're going to get $100 billion so that we can be able to adapt to climate change. That is agreed. So it was pledged, it was not fulfilled, but in 3 years' time, they would meet the commitment that they have given on that aspect. That's $100 billion every year on climate change adaptation.
100 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. But we are many countries in the world. We are 100 and how many countries? So if you share it, if you share it, it's not much. And
so I guess what everybody gets their own share based on their size and its proportionate. I guess.
And the impacts that you felt. Yeah. You have to justify that you need it. So it's not just to say, give it to me. You have to prove that you have been affected by it. But that's what is happening now.
Oh, great.
So,
is the real estate industry currently being affected by climate change? And if yes, what are the most significant impacts of climate change on real estate development? Oh
yes, definitely affected. You saw the bushfires in America. How many houses have been destroyed? You saw the floods in Germany. A whole town was washed away in Germany from floods, and they never had that. You have coastal erosion, even in Gambia. All the hotels are affected. And all is linked to climate change. So the impacts are very significant, and definitely we need to deal with it. Even the dams that have been built, sometimes you have too much of rainfall and the dams burst. It happened before. And the dams destroy a lot of settlements downstream, because when you build a dam, people start moving towards the river because there is space there. And so when the dam bursts, they are all flooded. So the impacts on real estate are very significant. And that's why the real estate industry should really pay attention to this. Even the winds that are being stronger now, they destroy roofs, and even destroy buildings, because when you have a high-rise building, the vibration from the wind can weaken the structure, and that's all from climate change. So definitely there are lots of impacts. And the heat. If you have a house before, let's say 30 years ago, right now the house was cold because the cold season was really bad. I mean, we are older than all of them.
Yes.
You remember how cold it used to be?
Yes.
Yeah, you even had a cold pot in your room at night. It was. And now it's getting hotter, so you need more energy to cool your rooms and so forth. And the demand for energy is higher for real estate industry as well.
Yeah.
So there are lots of impacts, and definitely we all need to pay attention to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think an example can be cited with this past rainy season. We had some windstorm throughout the country. It was very devastating. I think these are living examples. I mean, we've seen it, we're living it.
Yeah.
But at times, you know, Power, what happened when people like yourself, experts like yourself, you know, talk about these things, you know, go to conferences, and we, the laymen, people who are on the ground, cannot relate to it at times until it hits us. And I think a very good example was that recently, during the rainy season, we saw quite a heavy windstorm that destroyed, you know, quite a number of houses. And I guess this is one way or the other as a result of climate change.
Yeah, and for you who is a builder, if you have a 10-story building and the winds are hitting this building every time, it's going to weaken the structure. So that also is affecting your business, because that buildings have lasted maybe 40 years, but it will last maybe 25 years or so, because the structural damage has been caused by the strong winds. So it's a very, very serious matter. And I think you need to pay attention as a contractor and builder of houses and so forth.
Okay, are there any agreements in climate change negotiations that directly impact real estate development, especially in Africa?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, because there is now this concept of loss and damage. Loss and damage means simply damage that is caused by impacts of climate change and that you can repair. Some are permanent losses, but some you can repair. And what we are saying in Africa is that most of the damage that is caused by climate change is not caused by us. We are emitting very small quantity of CO2 into the atmosphere. It's developed countries that are doing that. So why can't they really help to repair damage that are caused directly by climate change? So, and this is now a topic that we are discussing in these conventions at every meeting. But the fear is that if you have an agreement, then compensation comes into the picture. And they don't want to go that far, because they can accept that this damage is caused by climate change, but how far do you want to go with compensation? And that is the stumbling block, because when you go too far, then you're going to put a price on the compensation that you need, and that's going to be a very high amount. That is beside the 100 billion that they promised to provide. This is extra on top of that. And this is mainly those who are affected by impacts of climate change, like hurricanes, or even coastal erosion. Yeah, those things are because they are all climate related. I know you know that the coastal erosion is because of climate change, because the polar regions have a lot of ice, and when they start to melt, that ice feeds into the sea, and the sea will start to rise gradually. And the more they rise, the more waves are stronger, and they cause coastal erosion. So it's directly linked to climate change, because the icebergs are melting and supplying water to the sea, so the sea is gradually rising, and so it's eroding the coast. So those are impacts that affect your business, because many people want to have houses near the beach, hotels are built there, and eventually they will all be washed away unless we do something about it. Even Banjul is threatened, because it's very low lying, and the more we have sea level rise, the more the water will come into Banjul, and then it's going to be too costly to protect it. So you might have to evacuate from Banjul in future. So definitely it's a serious matter.
Well, let me just take a follow-up question on this. On two issues that you've mentioned here. One is the issue of coastal erosion being affected by ice melting also. But recent, well, not very recent, but we saw that we lost quite a vast land around going to Banjul, where the cemetery was, and there was a project to dredge and sandfill the area. And at the time, I think also one of the causes of that was that sand mining by the beach around the Combo area here. You know, would that have been the reason why the coast was being eroded in Banjul, or is it, plus the melting of the ice?
Yeah, both factors. You are right, exactly. The sand mining on the beach was the main cause that it was rapid in Gambia. That's why it's banned. Nowadays you cannot mine sand on the beach. If you remember, you just go to the beach with a truck, right on the beach and mine sand. And it was banned, and I was at NEA, and we were enforcing the ban. Even we paid the military to patrol the beaches at night and arrest people who are mining illegally, because it was moved to Kato, if you remember, and then people didn't want to go up to Khartoum because it was bad. So they continued to sneak at night and mine sand from the beach and so forth. So the army was patrolling the area, and we provided fuel for them when I was at NEA as executive director. So there's a direct link between that erosion. But then the other factor is the global climate elements, like the melting of the icebergs in the polar regions. We also add to erosion. But that erosion is slow because the sea melts and the water is melting slowly, and the water is rising gradually. But the direct impact that you feel immediately is sand mining. So, and luckily we have banned it, and so it's not happening anymore unless people do it illegally. And that you are right. The both are the cause. The both are linked.
Yeah, but still on sand mining. I mean, Mr. Sarr, we see that okay, they're not mining the beach directly, but I guess they're mining. They're taking the dunes out.
Yeah.
Now, would the dunes being taken out have any effect on climate change or on our lives? I mean.
Yeah.
The effect that it doesn't have any effect as such.
Yeah, if you do it the right way, the dunes were there.
Yeah.
And if you look at the dunes before, there was no vegetation because it's sandy and it's like a small hill. And so what the idea was to level it, because when you mine on top and then it's flat, you can have gardens for women to have more vegetables to sell and so forth. So you increase their livelihood. But what was done is that it was not monitored properly. So people have gone beyond the limit that was set originally, and so they went deeper, and so it exposed groundwater. So it's waterlogged, and so in some places even there are mosquitoes that breed there, and then malaria cases have increased in areas that are close to the area. But if it had been done properly, the dune, because it's like a small hill, if you level it, then you have a flat area that women can go and use as women's garden and make an income, because they can grow vegetables and sell in the market. But the control was not satisfactory, unfortunately, and so there are lots of negative impacts that are felt now in many areas. So, and we have to find other areas in the country to mine sand, or alternatively, to use other types of material, like laterite dust. You cut the laterite into powder and then make bricks of it, or whatever is an alternative to sand. And we know that laterite bricks, if done properly, are more stronger than the other bricks that we use now. In fact, there was a test done by GTTI, and they were 6 times stronger than normal bricks that we use in our houses. So, but you have to cure it properly and do it the right thing so they become stronger. So maybe we should look for alternatives to sand mining and bricks from the beach. But the dunes were done because of leveling it and having more farmland for gardens for women to use. It was a good idea, but unfortunately monitoring is difficult. People go beyond the level that was agreed, and when you go there, you have a lot of lakes, ponds, So it's not what it was designed to be. That's good.
Mariam, I'm sorry, I'm going to hold, because really I'm concerned, and remember this is our speciality. But still staying on sand use in construction, because sand is used in construction in various ways. And infrastructure is important to this country. Actually, we've heard the president who said that everything that he's going to do in his term is infrastructure. And what that means, that the more you are going to implement all these infrastructural projects, you're going to now use, the demand for sand will increase. And most recently, we saw around Denton Bridge that sand is now being mined, from the underside of the water. And I have business in Nigeria, and obviously in the riverine area in Port Harcourt, and all the sand that we use is all dredged from the river. Even in Lagos, everywhere. In the south side of Nigeria, they dredge for sand. And I've just seen it being used here. Can you just elaborate further? I mean, what are the advantages and disadvantages of dredging as opposed to taking sand, from the dunes?
We feel that it's better to use sand deposit in the sea than to continue using sand from the beach area, because you destroy the environment and the demand is so high. But you have to do an assessment proper. Fish lay their eggs in sandy banks, fish don't lay eggs in areas where there is clay. So where you have a lot of sand deposits, that's where the fish lay their eggs. Because the eggs must be ventilated when they lay it so that the air is circulating in the egg, doesn't get rotten. So before you mine, you must do an assessment of the sandbanks which are important for fisheries and protect them. And the other areas you use as for mining. And we'll have more sand because if you look at the rains in Africa or Gambia, when it rains, the water is brown. There's so much sand and it all goes to the sea. And it's all deposited every year into the sea. So there's a lot of sand in the sea that's available. But we have to be careful, as I said, to assess where this sand is important for fisheries and protect those areas. Because fisheries is important for Gambia. And we cannot mine those areas where the fish lay their eggs. So we have to look for. So it's not just random selection. You have to do a proper assessment. But I think we're going to continue doing that to mine from the sea in future because the demand is high and we don't have enough space and land to mine on land. So in the sea is going to be the future. But I just want to caution that we have to do assessment properly to make sure that we don't tamper with fish banks, with sand banks that fish need to reproduce their offsprings.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sarr. Pa, you've heard him. He's advocating for the laws to be applied. Enforcement, I think, is the word. There are policies that are made, the laws are there, but it seems that not everything is enforced. So there's no use that we have policies made and then we don't enforce them. When we enforce them, it is better for everybody. The environment is our concern. So let us not think that when it rains, it only rains on one roof and not on mine. Or when the wind blows, it can take my roof off, but not yours. That is not the case. And the environment affects everybody, so let us protect it for our own well-being. On that note, Mr. Sarr, I want to thank you so much for taking time of your busy schedule, being here with us for this very important program called the TAF Hub. So Mariama,
yes,
I'll let you close.
Thank you so much, Mr. Njie, and thank you so much, Mr. Sarr. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers also learned a lot from this important topic. Just like Mr. Njie said, let's protect our environment. At the end of the day, we need this environment to survive for ourselves and for our, children and the next generation to come. So let's work collectively in protecting our environment. Join us on our next episode. And do subscribe on our YouTube channel. The link is on the screen. And till we come your way, bye-bye.
TAF Africa Global is the first and biggest private real estate developer in the Gambia with a presence in 7 other African countries. We are launching the development of the first smart and most modern office and retail towers in the Gambia called TAF Twins, located in the heart of the Kanifing institutional area and 10 minutes drive from Banjul. TAF Twins is designed to have 5 floors of office spaces ranging from 50 meters square to over 1,000 meters square, 2 elevators, central air conditioning, 24-hour electricity and water supply, with the ground floor reserved for banking, supermarket, restaurant and coffee shops. For your bookings and reservations, please call now on 376-2333 or 776-2333.